learning not to be affected uh, by injustice. Injustice is anything trying to take our happiness or our love or our devotion to happiness, our devotion to love away. Once we can understand that we are living within a world that is designed to seed happiness, but not grow it. Why would we be living in a world that is designed to seed happiness, but not grow it? Well, as long as it's seeded, we've done our job. As long as it's seeded, we've planted the life force. Now, this might sound a little bit crazy, but it's time to wake up if we can't open our minds to this truth of existence, is that once we've seeded love or happiness, we've essentially come into the human body, where naturally love and happiness from the beat or the expression of divine force within the heart. The heart beats to a certain frequency, which we can call divine happiness and divine love. Hence why when we connect to our hearts, when we live by our hearts, we connect to this frequency of divine happiness and divine love. The state of awareness which lives within the heart, which lives within the divine sense of truth, resonates at a much higher frequency than what is perceived by the mind. The mind is just essentially the network or the computer program. Depending on what we're programming within the mind, this can go from all aspects of complete negligence to narcissism to hatred or it can go to extreme utter happiness. Generally, when we get into these states of upper happiness or consistent happiness, we actually start to open our hearts, and then we stop living by the mind and more activate a sense of awareness from the heart. And once activated, the heart's awareness will generate the doing, the knowing, the being. It will essentially generate the same thing as the mind, except it expresses its truth without thinking. It's a flow. It's a truth. It's a flow. It's not a thought. It's a flow. And generally speaking, we only access this upper, higher consciousness once we learn to protect ourselves from evil. Now, evil lurks everywhere in the unseen. We can't see it, but it exists everywhere in the unseen. Why can't we see it? Because the world which we're living in is designed to hold evil, but to dilute our awareness to it. Because if we could see it, we would ultimately become aware of this frequency or energy. We can definitely feel it sometimes when we feel someone bad. We know because we use our emotions, we use our energetical awareness to feel them. But with our eyes, we generally can't see it. Sometimes we can see evil when it's so obvious, but a lot of the time it gets extremely sophisticated and takes the form of sometimes the most sweetest people, but sometimes the most sweetest people are the most evil people, as it's all an act. And so essentially, to understand that the world we're living in is not what we think it is. It's a cosmic code, and our minds are uncoding the reality in the five senses: the smell, sight, whatever you want to continue on in the five senses. But the truth of this reality being that the hearts have the ability to open. We open our hearts when we learn not to be blocked by it. If we're feeling hatred or we just can't truly love, this is the questions why we need to ask. Why can't we love? How are we moving forward? How are we moving forward to love? When we start to ask these questions, we'll start to find forgiveness, acceptance. We must forgive and accept. If we can't forgive and we can't accept, we won't be able to open the gate. The key is forgiveness and acceptance. A whole lot of stuff lives within forgiveness and acceptance, but if we can't forgive and we can't accept, we will never walk through the gates. It's very, very simple. Very, very, very simple.